Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome to this 5-day online training on media and information literacy. I am Tanvi Khurana and I welcome all of you in this training program. This is a training program which we started on 19th of August and till 23rd of August we'll continue this. And right now is the day 3 that we are entering, and the topic for today's discussion is going to be news literacy. On day 1 we discussed media literacy, its policy perspectives, concept, need and scope. On day 2, that was yesterday, we discussed media literacy, competency and skills. And today we are going to learn about news literacy in detail. And tomorrow we are going to learn about advertising literacy. And on day 5th, the topic of discussion is going to be media literacy and non-violence communication. This entire training has been organized by CIET and CERT in collaboration with Indian Institute of Mass Communication, that is IIMC. And I'm Tanvi Khurana, and if in case you have not registered yourself till now, I would request you to please register yourself, because if you have not registered yourself, then you won't be able to take part in the course whose link will be updated on the 5th day. So please register yourself. And I'll be explaining the process of registration and how you can get the certificate towards the end of this program. So please watch the entire program. If in case you have any questions, any queries, reach out to us. You can simply ask us your questions, give us a call on our number, that is 8800440559. There is a specific email ID on which you can write down your questions, and that is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. At this moment, you're also watching us on our eVidya channel number 6 to channel number 12, and also on our YouTube channels. Those are NCERT Official and NCERT PM eVidya channel number 6 to channel number 12. In the live chat box of these channels, you can write down your questions, queries and share them with us. It is very, very simple. So we'll be waiting for your questions till 5 o'clock, and we have a guest in our studio. He'll be more than happy to answer all your questions, all your doubts. Let me please introduce him to all of you. We have with us in our studio Dr. Pavan Kundal. Sir, a very warm welcome.
Namaskar, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir is an associate professor from Department of New Media, IIMC, that is Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi. So, sir, once again, a very warm welcome to you, and we'll be discussing the topic news literacy with you in detail. So, what do you have in store for all our viewers today under the title News Literacy, please?
So, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me in this 5-day media literacy program. So basically, when we talk about news literacy, it is a subset of media literacy, we can say, because in media literacy, it encompasses various aspects of evaluating media content, a broader understanding of all forms of media, including news, entertainment, advertising and social media, recognizing media influence, evaluating content and also creating content. Whereas news literacy is a subset of media literacy that specifically focuses on understanding and evaluating a news content, identifying bias or perspectives, verifying sources, detecting misinformation and so on. So, when we say that media literacy or news literacy, they are interconnected with each other, and before going towards news literary components, we can understand the basics of news, definition of news first. News refers to any current event, significant development or issue of public interest. It is normally reported through media outlets like newspapers, television, radio, internet sites and social media. So these days we are getting information from all corners here, right? Like, we are getting information from traditional newspapers, we are getting news from websites of the newspapers, we are getting information from social media, we are getting information from other news portals, so digital first portals. So, news is basically performing the role of informing the public, shaping opinions, and sometimes influencing decision making. And there are many platforms these days because we are now in the digital age, and there are so many platforms you are getting information. So, first of all, we can also understand the basic characteristics of news, the first and foremost is the objectivity. It basically refers to the practice of reporting news in a fair, balanced, and impartial manner, free from personal biases, opinions, or emotions. So, objectivity is the first and foremost component, or you can say characteristics of news. And then there are some other components objectivity, we can count like in number 4, in 4, trust and credibility, fair representation, separation of fact and opinions, minimization of bias. So, basically when we talk about trust and credibility, it actually builds trust with the audience by presenting unbiased, credible, and reliable news. For example, a balanced report on a policy with facts from all the sides. Then the second component of objectivity could be fair representation, which ensures all perspectives are fairly presented, giving voice to the different sides of an issue, like covering a protest with interviews from both protesters and officials. The third one is separation of fact and opinions, clearly distinguishes between factual reporting, opinions, helping audiences discern between the two, like reporting the facts of a legal case separately from editorial opinions. As far as minimization of bias is concerned, it strives to reduce personal or institutional biases by using neutral language and balanced coverage. For example, neutral reporting on political candidates without showing any favoritism in the content or in any news report. Then apart from objectivity, we also have some more characteristics of news where we can identify timeliness is basically often centered around recent events or developments. The more current the information, the more likely it is to be considered newsworthy. Breaking news about a natural disaster or a political event, the timeliness is very important in this case. Other one is the relevance. News must be relevant to the audience it is intended for. What is newsworthy in one community or country may not be in another. So, local elections may be newsworthy in a small town, but less so on a national level unless they have a broader implication. The next one is proximity. Geographical or cultural proximity often determines the newsworthiness of a story. Like the events that happen closer to the audience are usually given more coverage than other stories. A significant local event might be more important to local leaders than international news items or international stories or international content. The impact is also a crucial component of news. The potential impact or significance of an event can make it newsworthy, like stories that affect a large number of people or have a profound effect or influence on the community tend to be prioritized, like a major government policy change or a public health crisis. Prominence. When we talk about prominence, the involvement of prominent figures, celebrities, politicians, business leaders can increase the newsworthiness of a story. For example, a statement made by the president or a celebrity. As we are in the digital age, these days journalists can follow directly Twitter accounts or now X accounts of the celebrities or presidents or any celebrity doctor, so that they can see the prominence of the news, and they can cover the story accordingly in their news stories. Conflict is one of the major aspect of news. It often highlights conflicts, controversies, disagreements, as they tend to more attract more attention. Like we can see the political debates, legal battles, or social protests. Novelty, yes, the unusual, rare, or surprising events tend to be more newsworthy because they stand out from the ordinary. For example, any news about unusual weather, event, or a scientific breakthrough, or the likewise stories. So these are the basic characteristics of news. Human interest, that stories which evoke emotions, whether they are heartwarming, tragic, or inspiring, they are often considered newsworthy. Like an individual overcoming a significant odds, or a community coming help together to help someone in need. So these are the basic characteristics of news. The journalist always use these components, characteristics, while preparing stories and the content for news platforms, for traditional news platforms, for social media platforms, for news portals, and so on. So when we talk about news literacy, it is basically we can develop the ability to carefully and critically examine news and information. It basically involves understanding how news is created, finding reliable sources, spotting biased perspectives in news, knowing the difference between facts and opinions, being aware of false information and disinformation or fake news or any suspicious content. So first of all, we can see the importance of news literacy, as we already discussed that we are living in the digital age, and news literacy is increasingly important in the digital age, because we are getting information from all corners. The information is abundant, and misinformation can spread rapidly, and it is crucial to discern fact from fiction, identify biases, and understand the impact of news on society. So there are a number of aspects of news literacy where we can actually judge the news or information and critically evaluate that information. So the first part of news literacy can be distinguishing between news and opinion. So like we need to set a skill in ourselves that when we recognize any article or content presented in traditional media or social media, we can recognize whether it is a news report, or it is an article, or it is an editorial piece or opinion piece, and understanding how this affects the content. Like op-ed section in newspapers, like traditional newspapers, the Hindu or Times of India or any other traditional newspapers, they often feature opinion pieces that reflect the author's viewpoint rather than the objective reporting. Like in Hindi newspapers also, in small newspaper also, they have the editorial pieces and opinions published in newspapers. So there are some basic skills we can follow while distinguishing between news and opinion, like labeling and placement, labeling and section placement basically. If the article labeled as opinion, editorial, analysis, or commentary, or is the article located in a section typically reserved for opinions, like op-ed page, editorial page in newspapers, it is likely an opinion piece. Then we can always see the author's perspective. It means does the author express personal viewpoints or subjective interpretations. So interpretations are very important if someone is writing opinion piece, and that is the base of any opinion or column. The phrases like I believe, in my opinion, or we should, if they are used, and if any of the subjective language like or emotional language like terrible, outrageous, wonderful, or kind of words, then it is basically an opinion piece. The presentation of facts, if article or story primarily present verifiable facts and data without interpretation, there is no interpretation in any article, then it will be a news report, because it is following the objectivity component of a news and also following all the basic characteristics of news. Then we can also distinguish how author is identify himself or herself. Authors identify and expertise. Is the author identified as a columnist, commentator, or expert with a specific viewpoint? It will be an opinion piece. Or what is the purpose of the article or story? Is the primary purpose of the article to inform and reports only facts? Then it will be a news report. Then we can also see the headlines and copy while carefully examining the headlines. If the headline or copy using strong opinionated language, it is an opinion piece. If the headline is or copy using neutral and focused on the fundamental aspect of news writing, 5W and 1H, means who, what, when, where, why and how, then it is a news report. So when we talk about 5Ws and 1H, it is a fundamental framework used in journalism and information gathering to ensure comprehensive coverage of a story or a topic. It helps in structuring information clearly and answering key questions. So basically, what do we mean by 5W and 1H? We can see the screen, like who is involved or what happened or what is being talked about, when did it happen, where did it happen, why did it happen or why is it is important, how did it happen, and or how does it work. When we write news stories followed by 5W and 1H aspect, then it will be a news story covering all the aspects of news characteristics. Then structure and style. Yes, is the article structured with a clear beginning or middle and end, focused on a narrative or argument? It will be an opinion piece. Is the article written in a straightforward objective style with a focus on delivering information? It will be a news report. So this was the one aspect of distinguishing news and opinion. By following these skill sets, that we can make a checklist, and we can always take a pen and pencil and write if there is how many elements are opinion based, how many elements are news story based in particular story or article you are evaluating. The second one aspect of news literacy can be evaluating credibility of a news story. We can take recent news stories and evaluate the credibility of the source by researching the publication's history, balance, and the evidence cited in the story. Credibility aspect and criteria, we can see like publication history. Is the publication reputable and established, like traditional newspapers, Times of India, Hindu, or any other traditional newspapers? We are seeing these newspapers for the last 100 years. Is the publication known for unbiased reporting? Are evidenced there in the news stories? Are sources clearly identified and verifiable? Does the article include data, statistics, or direct quotes from the credible sources? Credible sources means when we quote anything from some reputable source, like data from the World Bank, data from the UNICEF, data from Reserve Bank of India, are they cited properly in the news story? Are there hyperlinks or references to primary sources? The balance of viewpoints is there or not? Are multiple perspectives presented, or is the language neutral and objective? Then the third aspect of news literacy can be understanding news sources, because like I said earlier, we are getting information from different corners, different media outlets, different media platforms. So we have mainstream newspaper, we have digital only news platforms, we have social media posts. So we can compare the articles or content uh, presented on these three sources. So how we can compare each source presenting a story, sometimes the same story, sometimes different stories. So how to understand news sources like mainstream newspapers, digital only platform, and social media post. So whether as far as presentation is concerned, we know newspapers for their detailed article, detailed report, credible reports, and neutral aspect. In digital only platform, the presentation would be the presentation can include multimedia elements, modern styles, and the social media post is basically based on short posts and visual heavy. You will find some appealing and engaging images and the visual content. As far as language is concerned, the mainstream newspaper or the traditional newspapers, they follow formal and factual language. In digital only platform, we can see conversational and engaging language. Social media post is informal, sensational sometimes. As far as the depth of coverage is concerned, we find in-depth analysis and context in mainstream newspapers. In comparison with digital only platform, we find links to further reading, expert opinions, and on social media post we have information on a very brief format or at surface level. So when we talk about social media post or digital only platform, we should also understand about the various nuances of presenting content on the web, like clickbait headlines are the buzz these days. So clickbait is used primarily to drive traffic to a website or platform by enticing users with exaggerated or deceptive headlines. The main goal of these clickbait headline is to generate ad revenue, increase page views, or boost engagement metrics, even if the content fails to provide meaningful or accurate information. So when we talk about digital platforms, it is basically different from the mainstream newspapers or traditional media, because in digital platforms you leave your digital footprints, and providing the arena to the clickbaiters so that they can easily provide you the information based on your usage pattern by following algorithmic techniques. So the clickbait, when you see, we can compare the tactics, description, and how to spot clickbaits. So the first tactic is basically exaggerated or sensational headlines. Those are based on sensational or exaggerated language or content. So how to spot? You can look for phrases like "you won't believe," "shocking secret," or anything that seems too sensational. Then another aspect could be vague or incomplete information. The headlines which provide vague information forcing you to click for more details. If the headline doesn't clearly explain the content, it's likely a clickbait headline. Overuse of superlatives, using extreme language like best, worst, unbelievable, if the headline is full of superlatives or extreme statement, it is probably a clickbait headline. It promises of secret information, claims to reveal secret or exclusive information. So, we need to be skeptical about these headlines because they are promising insider knowledge or something, and they are also saying that media won't tell you, we are going to tell you the secret of something. Then we have misleading images and thumbnails in clickbait headlines. We find using dramatic or unrelated images to grab attention. You can always check if the image seems unrelated to the content or overly dramatic. Then there are unreliable sources also present in the clickbait content. They often comes from lesser known unreliable website. We can always verify the credibility of the website or publication before clicking, and sometimes they redirect you the different headline, different website, different platforms. If there are too many ads and pop-ups, clickbait sites, they often cluttered with many ads and pop-ups. If any page is filled with pop-ups and mostly ads, the content is likely clickbait. Then the content doesn't match headline. So, we come across many times that when we click on some headline, the redirected content on some platform is totally different. So, content often undelivers compared to the headline, and we can always compare the headline to the actual content. If it doesn't deliver, it's clickbait. We can always when we open any clickbait headline by mistake or by you know sometimes we also see what is there in the headline. So, we can always block that website if there is a if this is a clickbait website, or you are finding the content again and again which is delivering information that is not promised in the headline. So, when we identify the fourth aspect, be identifying bias or perspective in news coverage. So, we can select a recent or ongoing issue that has been widely covered in the Indian media, whether it is a newspaper or social media, websites, news portals, mobile first platforms like InShorts and other mobile apps. So, we need to, it can be a social issue, a major event, or any public figure sections. So, what we can do, we can identify the list of words, phrases that indicate a particular bias or perspective. For example, sometimes when we talk about different platforms, sometimes the news we already read on the website can be published in the next morning in the newspaper with more detailed data, with more detailed and rich coverage. So, we can also compare sometimes the news covered in the same website of that particular media organization or the news covered in the published paper the next day, like the same stories. So, for example, if we want to identify bias or perspective in news coverage, for example, we can take a case study of coverage of the air pollution crisis in Delhi during winters. So, for coverage of air pollution crisis in Delhi during winter, we can find number of news articles in different media platforms, different social media platforms, and see the language and tone of the coverage. So, suppose there is a case study of identifying two news outlets with distinct perspectives. Two news outlets, you can take print media, you can take two websites, you can take two social media, two mobile apps, you can take two digital first platforms only. So, you can compare, then you can always see the headlines and subheadings. you can note how each outlet frames the issue from the headline. So sometimes there are keywords oriented headlines. Keywords are basically written in headlines so that more people can engage by reading the headlines, and keywords are basically very useful while uploading content on the web for news platforms and for other social media platforms. Like there is a saying that newspaper is published in 24 hours. A website of that same newspaper or news portal is published in every 15 minutes. So we always wait for 24 hours to read the content, but we can always access the website of the same newspaper or any other website, any other newspaper, and see the content, read the content. And just like in newspapers, traditional media is also using keywords in their headline, and sometimes because reporters or the editors, they need to write for all platforms. Like if there is a newspaper, they are also handling websites, they are also handling social media of that particular newspaper, they also handle the curated apps, they also handle e-newspapers. So there are so many things which are to be covered by all the content simultaneously. The language and tone, we can identify the choice of words can be focused and the tone used to describe the situation. What language and tone has been has been the language, what is the language, what is the tone of writing stories or content. Sources and attribution, we should always observe which sources are cited, such as government officials, health experts or local residents, or any other report, relevant report from abroad. So these three things we can identify while analyzing the distinct perspective of one particular issue. Headlines and subheadings, language and tone, sources and attribution. So how to identify words and phrases like sensational or calming language? Are there words like emergency, toxic, severe versus under control or improving? That is basically based on this case study of coverage of Delhi air pollution crisis. Then is there any framing or responsibility covered in the news stories? How are the government, industries or citizens described? Are they portrayed as neglectful, proactive or victims? If selective focus is there or not? Does one outlet focus more on government action or inaction while the other emphasizes the public health impact? Tone of headlines, do the headline make the crisis seem urgent and alarming, or do they downplay the severity? So these four aspects we can identify while evaluating or while analyzing the coverage of two different news outlets, sensational or calming language, framing of responsibility, selective focus and the tone of headlines. So aspect of both news outlets can be evaluated, like we said about headline. If one news outlet is saying that is environment focused, Delhi choke, severe air pollution threatens public health. News outlet 2, that is that could be policy focused, government steps up effort to combat Delhi air pollution. So you can see the difference between two headlines. One news outlet is saying that it is an alarming situation, Delhi is choking, there is a severe air pollution and it is threatening the public health. The other news outlet is saying that government is doing something and government is committed to combat the air pollution in Delhi. So they are taking steps to combat the pollution. The language, the news outlet one is writing toxic air many times, like using a keyword of toxic air, and then the news outlet is that could be policy focused by government, saying measures in place. So the language is also different while covering the same issue of any same issue. Then framing or responsibility. News outlet one is saying neglectful policies in their news reports, in social media platforms of that particular news outlet, and news outlet 2 is saying that government is committed to resolve the issue, government is taking action, they are planting many measures, they are doing so many things. So the responsibility is also framed in news reports like this. Selective focus, outlet 1 is saying focused on health impact and expert warnings, showing infographics, the hazards and everything, and they can also include many infographics around the world, also around the other state also, and compare the different states of India, and showing that Delhi pollution is more hazardful than the other states of India. News outlet 2, it focused on government response and policy measures. News outlet 2 can also use the infographics and other details around the city, around other states, and present the data in informational manner in the infographics and other graphs and charts and other creative elements. Tone of headlines, like news outlet is saying, like covering and using the words urgent, alarming situation is there. People should be alarmed, they should be take appropriate measures to combat air pollution, they should buy air purifiers and whatever. News outlet is focusing on policy by government, like they are saying they are using controlled and solutions oriented aspects in the news coverage and in the articles. So these things we can take as an exercise, and we can take the one case study, and so we can take one case study, and we can also take another case studies and evaluate on our own, and see the difference between two case studies, how one news outlet is covering one case and how news outlet 2 is covering the same issue. So then we can talk about the challenges for news information literacy in the digital age. There are we also discussed earlier that we are getting information from all sides. There is much information overload is there, and sometimes it is very difficult to identify which content is right, which content is false, and it is also very difficult sometimes to analyze the clickbait headlines. So it is very difficult sometimes. So there are so many challenges, and we can always try to analyze the content by taking so many aspects like we discussed earlier. So when we talk about information overload, we also have the aspect of misinformation and disinformation.
Okay.
the echo chamber and filter bubbles is also very important aspect of you know the important challenge of news literacy.
Okay.
Uh,
Sir,
yes.
just want to interrupt here. When you were mentioning the news framing of one outlet and this other outlet, the headlines were different. The one was a full sentence and the other was some keywords. So, is there any limit to the words that a news reporter can write for a headline?
Basically, the limit for headline is totally depending on the news items,
Okay.
right? And when we say that someone is covering for the traditional newspapers, so because we have space constant in print media,
Okay.
we have to have a number of stories on the first page and other pages also. So it is very there is a space constant in print media, and accordingly the space allotted to one particular story is depending on the word limit of the story and headlines as well. Sometimes we can see very big headlines somewhere. Sometimes we see very small headlines somewhere. Small in the size that the point size of the headline is different. Small. Sometimes the words in the headlines are less, and sometimes words in the headlines are placed in double decker kind of headline. Sometimes kickers have been used. Sometimes hammers have been used to incorporate all the elements in the in the news items. And sometimes when we see when we compare the website of one news organization and the website the paper of that same organization, we can see many differences in terms of curating content for print and curating content for website, because like in newspapers we have two folds, above the fold, below the fold, and the stories are basically curated according to their news value, according to their importance, and the sequence is made like this. But in online, the same way in online website of that particular medium is also followed. Like when we scroll our mouse for any news platform, on any news platform, the website is basically finished in 3 to 4 scrolls. The first scroll has the most important stories with big headlines. There is no space constant. There is hyperlinks are also there. If there is infographic, a small infographic printed in newspaper, traditional newspapers, it is possible that the expanded version of the same infographic is presented in on the website, because there is no space constant. And in the online content, online website, online platform, we have different multimedia elements. We have audio clips, we have multimedia animations, we have sometimes user comments, sometimes we have expert opinions related to that particular story, sometimes we have other audio clips sometimes. So there are because print media industry is totally changed now because of digital technology, and one news organization which is known for print media product, like any newspaper, Times of India or any the Hindu, they are known for their print product, but now they are providing information from number of platforms. They are providing information through their website, the same content they are producing on the website, the same content, the rich content, detailed content they are producing for their morning newspaper. So these are the basic differences between the using headlines and content. And sometimes it is crucial that how to know to identify by the websites of the news portal that how people are engaging with their content. So it is basically different from the print media, because when we read newspapers at home, the print media managers, they don't know how we are engaging with their content. But in the online medium, because of algorithm technology, the editors or the content manager, they know how people are engaging with the particular content. So when we talk about challenges for news or information literacy in the digital age, we have discussed about uh, information overload. So information overload, if we define that, it basically deal with vast amount of information uh, online, past information online, that overwhelm people, making it hard to distinguish reliable sources. Sometimes it is very difficult for anyone that what is reliable or what is fake or what is there as a misinformation. So it impacts and it leads to quick skimming instead of careful evaluation of the content. When you find so much information, we don't bother to evaluate that information, and we sometimes in fatigue we skip the information and just see the content and go away. Then misinformation and disinformation, it is very important these days. Media literacy is one of the most important aspect of combating misinformation and disinformation. It basically false information spread easily, both intentionally and sometimes unintentionally. It increases belief in false information, especially when shared by trusted contacts. When someone is in your family is sharing something, then you easily trust that this information is true, we can also share this information. Then echo chambers and filter bubbles. Social media curates content that aligns with users' beliefs. Just I said, like algorithm technology, it limiting exposure to different viewpoints. When you see the same content every day, you will also getting the same recommendations for that particular create. It basically create echo chambers and filter bubbles. You can't see the other viewpoints. Then so it is basically reinforcing existing biases, reducing critical thinking, and exposure to diverse perspectives.
Okay.
So there are other aspects also. Decline in traditional news outlets, speed of news information. News spreads rapidly online, often before being verified, results in the widespread sharing of incorrect information. Lack of media literacy education. These programs can be very helpful for addressing the media literacy competencies in the audience and at any level. Then visual and video misinformation, the rise of deepfakes. We all know these days it is very challenging, and we are also living in the AI age. It is very easy these days to create content and spread content, very easy. So it increases sometimes trust in falsified content, making misinformation harder to detect. So these are the basic aspects of news literacy, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for letting us know all the details regarding news literacy. And we have received certain questions on the basis of your content only. So may I?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so you mentioned about the language and tone of the news, and so hypothetically, let's say if a news writer or a reporter needs to report about a violent news, maybe some violence happening in some city or some riots, so what language and tone would be appropriate in such a scenario?
Yes, it is basically because if there is any incident like this, so the reporters or the writers, they should carefully choose the content that should not entice people these words should not heavy words should not be used. The impactful tone, I mean, people can write in neutral manner. Is basically they should write in neutral manner. They should not force people to think think and make them very angry. So it is very crucial to use the neutral language sometimes while writing about these incidents.
Okay. All right. And you also mentioned about the images being used with the news articles. So what is the importance of photographs with the news articles, and who decides that this photograph is appropriate for this news article and this should go in print media? And some stories, of course, they are without the photographs. So who's the decision maker here?
So this is the decision of the page in charge of that particular newspaper or the social media content managers. And pictures are very, these should be used for making people, making the content very interactive. So pictures are playing a very major role producing, so that you can produce your content interactively. And sometimes apart from images, because when we talk about print media, we only have three aspects: images, text and graphics.
Right.
So and in online media we have number of aspects. We have images, we have infographics, we have text is the major part, yes. Then we also have multimedia, multimedia contents in online media. But in print media, pictures and blurbs and other graphic elements are the major part of providing information in an interactive way to the readers, so that they should not bored with the heavy content sometimes. So yes, some pictures, some stories required pictures, some stories do not require pictures. It's up to the decision of the the editors and the page in charge.
Great. Thank you so much, sir, for answering the questions, and thank you so much for presenting the entire content on news literacy. It was a wonderful presentation indeed. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the viewers as well for being with us today, and I really hope that you enjoyed this entire conversation on news literacy. So now let me quickly show you that how you can participate in this ongoing 5-day online training. All you have to do is open any browser of yours and type CIET on it. Once you type, you will see the home page of our website. You can see multiple options here. In the option of activities, if you click on it, the third last option is workshop/training. Please click on it. Once you do, there will be another page that will be opened. And once that page will open, you will see the current activity being displayed. We will do this again. The third last option is workshop/training. We have clicked on it, and another page will open. So there's an internet glitch at the moment. Yes, here you can see the page, the current activity. It is mentioned online training on media and information literacy. Please click on it. See, another page has opened. Please scroll it down. You can see the entire information of this ongoing training from day 1 to day 5. Schedule has been mentioned, who all can participate, what are the objectives of this particular training, and on day 1, day 2, day 3, the presentations and the entire video of this conversation is uploaded here. You can see the schedule has been mentioned for all 5 days. If you scroll it a little here, you can see the QR code. Please scan the QR code and a form will appear. All you have to do is fill your details and submit it. Your registration will be done, or simply click on this link, fill up the details and submit. The registration will be done. Here you can see our link for the YouTube channel, that is NCERT Official. If in case you have missed watching earlier sessions, yesterday's or day before yesterday's, you can click here and watch those sessions. Now let's come to this important part. The link of the course which will be launched on Diksha portal will be uploaded here on the last day of this training, that would be 23rd of August. So you have to wait for the last day, and you will get 3 attempts for this entire course. If you score more than 70%, then you will be given a certificate. So please have some patience, because the certificate preparation will take somewhere around 15 to 20 days, and it will be appeared on the Diksha profile page itself. So you don't have to mail anywhere. You will be getting the certificate from your portal itself. And please have patience and watch all the videos, because the answers of the questions you'll be getting in these videos itself. And here is the feedback QR code. If you'll scan it and submit your feedback, any suggestion, any feedback is more than welcome, or simply click on this link and submit your feedback. Apart from this, you can see there is a specific email ID that we have designed for all of you, that is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. Not just during the program, but even later on you can submit your questions, your queries regarding this online training on this particular email ID. So we'll be waiting for your questions, and with this we are wrapping up our today's program. Tomorrow sharp at 4 o'clock we'll come back again and we'll take up the topic advertising literacy for day 4. Thank you so much once again. Keep on watching eVidya channels. Our next program is also very special, called Sahyog, and the topic of discussion is going to be mastering inner peace, tips for staying calm and positive in any situation. Raise your questions if you have any. Thank you so much for watching this program, and keep on watching eVidya channels. I'm Tanvi Khurana. I'll take a leave of you. Have a great day ahead. Namaskar.